Hi, I'm Sharon. Welcome to my theory tuition series where I'm working with you step by step through each of the ABRSM theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets which you can download in US letter or A4 to accompany each step of this series. You'll find a page there with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also find out about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best be prepared for your exam and also how to make the best use of your time come exam day. So if you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be really super, and please do subscribe to my channel and share out the videos. And now we're going to have a look at 2019 Grade 3 Paper S. We're going to look at the first questions there. So if you turn with me to page 15, we'll have a look at that together. So question 1 asks us to add time signatures to each of these 5 melodies. So we have separate melodies here, so they're going to need 5 different time signatures. It's not continuation, so just be careful there. So our first job is to decide whether we are counting in quaver, 8th note beats, crotchet beats, quarter notes, minims, half notes. So here, at a quick glance, we can see that it's only going to work in quaver beats, because here we know that 4 demi-semis equal a quaver or an 8th note. If I just diagram that out for you, so we know that there is a quaver which divides into 2 semi-quavers, which divides again into 4 demi-semis or 32nd notes, and so that's going to leave us uneven if we choose any other time signature, so it has to be over 8. And then we can see this divides, a crotchet divides into 2 quavers, a quarter note divides into 2 8th notes, so we have 1, 2, 3 over 8. Let's just look at this next bar here just to confirm that. The first bar gives us that answer easily, but let's just do the maths here just for revision purposes. Let's squeeze every drop out of this paper that we can to help us in preparation for exam time. So here is 1 quaver beat, 1 8th note. That's a rest version of that. We have a quaver, an 8th note there. And we know that 2 semi-quavers, 2 quarter notes make a quaver. And the fact that this one's been made longer and this one's been made shorter sort of averages out in a sense. So let's just think, because there's half as much again, and then that's the remaining sort of 8th as it were. So there we have our next quaver, 1, 2, 3. Let's look at the next one. Now we can tell at a glance this is going to be a really long bar if we count it in 8th notes, quavers, or even crotchets. So let's count it in minims first of all, in half notes. So if we think that our number is going to be 2, here's 1 minim beat. Here's a rest, a minim rest, half note rest. Now we know that 2 quavers, 2 8th notes gives us a crotchet, and 2 crotchets, 2 quarter notes gives us a minim beat. So there's our minim beat. Or also you can, if I just diagram that out, we know that a minim divides into 2 crotchets, so a half note divides into 2 quarter notes, and if we divide again, we can see they are quavers, 8th notes. So actually, when we're counting with 2 as our bottom, I'm going to go ahead, just pop that there. An 8th note or a quaver is actually a quarter of a beat, because our unit beat is now minims. So that's that there. Now we know that a crotchet there, and then we have a dot after which gives us half as much again, which is a quaver, an 8th note, which combined with this quaver 8th note here gives us another crotchet beat. So altogether there's our minim, our half note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. There we go. Let's just check this next bar just for practice purposes. So we have 1 minim beat here. Now don't be put off by the triplet. We'll come to that in a second actually. Let's just finish this half of a bar. So a crotchet and a crotchet. 2 quarter notes give us a half note, a minim. 1, 2. Now here 3 just means 3 in the time of 2. So 2 crotchets, 2 quarter notes, which is 1 minim beat. And then there's our final minim beat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2. That's correct. Let's look at this next one. Now the way that this is beamed and grouped shows us that we're in a group of 3, 1, 2, 3, and then there we can see 1, 2, 3. And so just we can tell we're going to be in compound time. So let's count in quavers or eighth notes. 1, 2, 3. So I'll just sketch that out. 1, 2, 3. There's a quaver or an eighth note. Half as much again. Now we know that 2 semiquavers, 2 16th notes gives us an eighth note, a quaver. And there's another one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that tallies with our 2 groups of 3 in compound time. 2 groups of 3 quavers, 2 dotted crotchets, dotted quarter notes per bar. So here, 1, 2, 3 quaver beats. Here we have 2 quaver beats and then 2 semiquavers, 2 16th notes gives us our final quaver. So there we go, 6 over 8. There we go. Let's look at this next one. Ooh. So then, now the way this is grouped, we're not in compound time. So I'm going to try counting this in quarter notes, crotchet beats first of all. So we know that 4 semiquavers make a crotchet. Let's just diagram this a different way just to look at it differently. So there's our crotchet beat. We'll just go ahead and presume that's 4. We can always rub it out if we change our mind, but I think we're counting in crotchet beats here. So we have 2 semiquavers, 2 quarters of a beat. There. So we've done that one, we've done that one. Here's another quarter of a beat. The dot after it makes it half as long again, and then there's our remaining eighth. So there we can see everything's beamed together as a crotchet or a quarter note. And also, because that one's been made longer, that one's been made shorter, they sort of balance each other out. They sort of cancel each other out in terms of averaging out the time. Of course not for performance purposes, but for our mathematical purposes, they sort of cancel each other out. So here we go. Let's just diagram this out again. So we have a quaver, an eighth note, which is half of a crotchet beat. The dot gives us half as much again. And then here we have a semiquaver, a 16th note rest, which gives us the remaining quarter. So there's our next crotchet, quarter note beat. And then 3 in the time of 2 literally gives us 2 quavers, 2 eighth notes, which gives us our last crotchet beat. So 3 over 4 is the time there. And it has to be 3 over 4 by the way that it's grouped. We couldn't change them because 6, 8 is compound divided into groups of 3. 3 over 4 is simple time, which is divided into groups of 2. So it has to be that way round. Let's just check this last bar just to be thorough. So we have an eighth note, a quaver, and a quaver rest, an eighth note rest. So there's our first crotchet beat. There's our third crotchet beat at the end. So this one here, let's just diagram that out. So a quaver is half of a crotchet beat. Half as much again gives us a quarter, and then we have 2 demi-semis, 2 32nd notes, which are an eighth each, which give us the remaining quarter. So there's our third crotchet beat. There we go. And let's just look at this last exercise now for question 1. And again, you can see that we're grouped 1, 2, 3 in groups of 3. So we're in compound time again. So let's pop number 8 down. We can change our mind if we want to later. I think that's right. So 1, 2, 3. gives us our first group of 3. 1, 2, 3 gives us our next group of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we can just go 8, 9, average it out. Or you can think, well, there's one quaver, there's another quaver, 8th note, and then the dot and the semiquaver give us our third. So we have 3 quaver beats there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 over 8. There we go. So 1 and a half, 2, 3. Oh, that dotted. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 over 8. There we go. That's that question completed. Let's have a look at the next question. So we've still got to keep our maths brain switched on for this question because we're adding rests or a rest. That's the important point here. It might be 1, it might be 2 rests in these 2 separate melodies. Notice 2 separate time signatures to make each bar complete. Because we need to decide whether it's 1 or more rests, because if you remember the rule, each new beat requires a new rest. Just like the rules for beaming, we need to show where each new beat starts. So we have to reflect the unit beat of our time signature in the way we group the rests or the beams. So this is à la brève time signature. Sometimes the slang version is split common time, and it just means 2 over 2, 2 minim beats per bar. So we're counting 2 minim beats per bar. Now then here, 3 in the time of 2. So we have 1, 2, 3 crotchet beats, which give us the time of 2, so there's half of the bar already. Now here we have 1 and a half crotchet beats, and so we need another half of a crotchet beat to complete this minim. We need a quaver added as a rest, so that will be that, and that gives us our remaining half of a bar. Now then here, this is where we need to be careful, because we don't just put 1 rest to cover the entire value that's missing. We need to remember, just like beaming, you don't go over the halfway point of the bar. So we need to show where beat 1 and beat 2 falls. So we already have a crotchet or a quarter note, so we need to finish that minim beat first by adding another crotchet rest, and then we can show the remaining half of the bar as a minim half note rest. You couldn't add, for example, that, because well, for a start it looks like it's a dotted rest, which implies compound time, and also it just sort of straddles over the halfway point of the bar, and it doesn't reflect our 2 half note beats. It must be as written there. So let's look at the last bar here. So there is our final minim beat. 2 quavers, 2 8th notes give us a crotchet, and we know that 4 semiquavers, 4 16th notes give us a crotchet. We've got 1, 2, 3, and so we need to complete this final quarter of a crotchet beat with a semiquaver or a 16th note rest, and then that gives us our final minim beat, or well, our first beat of the bar, completing that bar. There we go, that's that one completed. Let's move on to the next question. And so now we're in compound time. We're in 12/8, which is 4 groups of 3, 4 dotted crotchets per bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to show beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. So let's see what we've got, and then we'll finish that off. So here's 1, 2, 3. There's beat 1. 1, 2, 3. There's beat 2. 1, 2, 3. There's beat 3. We've got beat 4 to show, and so we just show beat 4 as a dotted crochet as we would the note. You can do, here's an interesting point just while we're thinking about compound time rests, you can do that and replace the dot with a quaver 8th note rest. However, you cannot do it the other way round. That is not acceptable. And I can only think it's because it sort of looks like you wouldn't write dot crotchet. That doesn't make any sense. And so I can only presume that the reason why is that we're showing that dotted crotchet allocation there. So you could do that, or you could do that. There we go. Right, last bar. So let's just work from the end. So we see here that divides into beats 1, 2. Here's a third beat. And so now we have 1 quaver there, 1/8 note there. The dot is half as much again, which is like a semi-quaver, which with this semi-quaver, this 16th note gives us another quaver, another 8th note. And so we just 1 quaver beat missing for this group of 3 here. So we just add that as a rest. There we go. That's that question completed. We'll look at the next question in the next video. I do hope that's helpful to you. I hope it's helping you with your studies. These past exam papers are an excellent revision resource. Make the most of them and squeeze every drop out of it for your practice purposes. Hope you're enjoying it. I certainly am. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated, and do share out the videos. And please also do visit sharonbill.com and browse around all of the resource and information that's available there to help you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.